Before the relentless noise of the external world and the chaotic matrix of external expectations dictate your day, intentionally stop. Right here, in this sacred time, draw a deep, anchoring breath into the center of your physical being. Inhale slowly, pulling restorative air into the quietest chambers of your stomach. Hold it for a singular heartbeat, allowing pure oxygen to gather the stagnant, anxious energy you unknowingly carry. Exhale, permanently dropping a massive boulder of unspoken frustrations from your exhausted shoulders. Completely unclench your jaw, releasing the memory of silenced needs and swallowed anger. Soften your eyes and drop your shoulders. You are fundamentally safe in this space. You are fiercely recognized for your radiant, raw essence, not your compliance. We are currently standing at a staggering, intensely complex, and deeply revealing energetic intersection. The date is April 15. This is absolutely not a day for casual observation, and it is certainly not a day for playing small, hiding your emotional depth, or retreating into the familiar, suffocating shadows of your old people-pleasing coping mechanisms. This is a day of absolute, breathtaking, and terrifyingly beautiful emotional liberation. On this highly specific, mathematically precise point in the cosmos, we are being ignited by a profoundly powerful, visceral, astrological alignment. Today, the moon, the ancient, mystical keeper of our deepest subconscious, our primal intuition, and our most vulnerable emotional waters, collides in a direct, intense conjunction with Mars. Mars is the swift, blazing, unapologetic planet of our action, our passion, our inner warrior, and our fierce, protective anger. And they are not just meeting anywhere. They are slamming together headfirst into the bold, pioneering, and fiercely independent fire of Aries. These are not just distant celestial bodies moving silently in the dark, cold void of space. These are literal, energetic codes, massive, fiery software updates for your human experience, being downloaded directly into your nervous system, your heart space, and your sacral chakra. They are completely, irrevocably rewriting your internal blueprint for love, passion, boundaries, and emotional sovereignty. Let us deeply, courageously examine what is actually happening within your spirit as the delicate, sensitive moon merges completely with the blazing, warrior fire of Mars in the territory of Aries. Aries is the spark of life. It is the spiritual warrior. It is the pure, unfiltered, primal energy of the I Am. For a very, very long time, you have been acting as a spiritual silencer for your own emotional reality. Because of your deep, beautifully tender heart, your profound capacity for empathy, and your intense fear of abandonment, you have lived in a chronic, agonizing state of emotional self-censorship. You have taken your fiery, beautiful, completely valid emotions, especially your anger, your frustration, and your passionate desires, and you have relentlessly watered them down, freezing them into ice so they would be digestible for people who entirely lack the capacity to hold your fire. You have desperately, constantly policed your own emotional reactions. You have felt a deep, instinctive flare of boundary crossing within a connection, only to immediately gaslight yourself, convincing your mind that you were just overreacting. You have gone to absolute war against your own intuition to defend the comfort of a romantic partner, swallowing your own profound discomfort, your own entirely justified anger, just to protect the fragile, toxic ecosystem of a connection that was secretly starving you to death. You took your primal, vital, emotional life force, your beautiful capacity for raw, passionate expression, and you locked it in a heavy, dark, underwater box because someone in your past convinced you that your anger was toxic, that your passion was too aggressive, or that your emotional needs were simply too demanding. You fell deeply, tragically, into the devastating habit of performing the chill partner. You became fiercely addicted to the noble, exhausting, completely self-destructive crusade of being entirely low maintenance. You convinced yourself that if you just complained a little less, if you never showed a single flash of temper, if you were just infinitely patient and endlessly forgiving, if you completely erased your own emotional boundaries, you could finally secure the unconditional love you so desperately craved. You confused the absolute exhaustion of this endless, unwinnable emotional suppression with the feeling of profound safety. You thought that because you were not starting arguments, because you were not raising your voice, it must mean the connection was deeply stable. You mistook the suffocating, frozen silence of your own emotional death for a peaceful relationship. You have been operating in a thick, heavy fog of self-betrayal, walking carefully on a floor of sharp eggshells that did not even belong to you, entirely convinced that your ultimate emotional compliance would eventually be rewarded. You waited for the grand, cinematic love story where they would finally, magically read your mind, recognize your silent suffering, and give you the respect and passion you never dared to demand. But as the profound, transformative energy of this April 15 transit peaks, as the deeply feeling moon strikes the explosive match of Mars in the kingdom of Aries, the frozen fog of your emotional suppression is suddenly, violently, and beautifully burning away. This alignment is sparking a massive, irreversible spiritual awakening directly within your emotional core. It is the sudden, striking, physical realization of the spiritual warrior who finally stops apologizing for feeling deeply. You are experiencing a literal, physical shockwave of emotional clarity. The heavy, intoxicating, deeply addictive illusion of the compliant partner who never gets angry is shattering into a million unrecoverable pieces. You are suddenly seeing the past, the toxic dynamics, the endless swallowing of your pride, and the agonizing lack of true, passionate advocacy for yourself with a stark, almost blinding realism. You are looking at the people you tried to appease by shrinking your emotional responses, and for the first time, you do not feel the desperate urge to manage their reactions. You do not feel the heavy, clawing responsibility to be their emotional cushion while they continuously step all over your heart. You are finally, deeply understanding that your vital, brilliant emotions, yes, even your anger, were never meant to be silenced, just to keep someone else comfortable while they continuously chose to trample over your unspoken, invisible boundaries. This is the absolute, permanent death of the emotional doormat within your romantic blueprint. You are finally dropping the heavy, rusted mask of perpetual peacekeeping. You are taking your immense, beautiful, terrifying emotional power back from the frozen silence. You are finally realizing that true, sovereign love requires the absolute, terrifying courage to feel your feelings completely. It requires the bravery to let your anger speak when your boundaries are crossed, even if your voice shakes, even if it disrupts their false peace, even if it means watching the entirely wrong connection burn to the ground in the heat of your newly awakened truth. And the universe is not just breaking your emotional dam, it is immediately, beautifully rushing in to fortify your spirit with a tidal wave of unimaginable, fiercely protective, passionate fire. Because exactly as you drop the mask of emotional compliance, the skies open up and deliver the pure, undeniable, blazing heat of Mars, fused with the intuitive wisdom of the moon. Listen to the sound of my voice, and let these words sink into the deepest, most permanent layers of your subconscious mind. The moon is doing the profound work of pulling your true needs out of the shadows, while Mars is handing you the magnificent, golden sword of undeniable courage to protect those needs. For so long, you have operated in a state of emotional dimming. You genuinely believed that love meant numbing yourself so someone else wouldn't feel overwhelmed. This Moon-Mars frequency is stepping powerfully into your energetic field, placing its warm, heavy, incredibly steady hands firmly on your shoulders, looking you dead in the eye and whispering a profound, ultimate truth into your soul. Your anger is not a weapon of destruction. It is a profound compass of self-love. Your passion is not an inconvenience. It is your absolute divine right. True, authentic, profoundly aligned love is not supposed to require the assassination of your emotional spectrum. You are currently undergoing a radical, highly accelerated nervous system upgrade. You are being recalibrated to handle the intense, beautiful frequency of true, unfiltered emotional authenticity. You find yourself suddenly, inexplicably repulsed by the passive-aggressive, manipulative, deeply indirect dynamics that you used to tolerate. The idea of suppressing a very real emotional reaction just to keep the peace suddenly feels profoundly insulting to your spirit. You are looking at the confusing, emotionally unavailable partners you used to accept, and you are feeling an unshakable, elevated intolerance for anything less than absolute, burning devotion and respect. This is not you becoming bitter. This is you becoming pure. This is you stepping into the absolute, sovereign luxury of your own unapologetic emotional reality. You are realizing that you do not want a partner who requires you to shrink your passion or hide your fire. You want a partner who is thrilled by the roar of your spirit. You want a connection that feels like standing in the bright, warm, life-giving sunlight after a lifetime trapped in a damp, silent, emotionally frozen cave. You are demanding, with the quiet, terrifying confidence of a fully awakened soul, a love that is expansive, courageous, fiercely protective, intensely passionate, and entirely free of hidden resentments. And because you are finally demanding it, because you are no longer accepting the emotional crumbs, the universe is expanding your magnetism to an entirely unprecedented level. You are quite literally becoming a walking, breathing, blazing magnet for high-vibrational, fully realized, securely attached, deeply passionate love. You are calling in a partner who does not flinch when you show your fire. You are calling in an equal, a king for your queen, a queen for your king, a sovereign warrior for a sovereign warrior. You are calling in someone who has fought their own internal battles, conquered their own fear of deep emotion, and is now standing completely whole, capable of witnessing your fiercest emotions without taking it as a personal attack. Someone who looks at your emotional fire and does not try to throw water on it to put it out, but instead steps closer and asks how they can help you burn brighter. This energy is not just about romance. It is about the absolute convergence of all forms of your personal power. As you clear the dense, heavy suppression from your heart, you are simultaneously unblocking massive rivers of creative prosperity, confidence, and leadership that were waiting for you to simply feel worthy of them. You will notice over the next few days that opportunities, people, and serendipitous moments of sheer, passionate alignment will start arriving at your doorstep with shocking speed. A sudden urge to set a firm boundary, an unexpected breakthrough in how you defend your energy, a brilliant wave of raw passion that demands to be expressed. You will feel a radiant, blazing heat expanding in your chest, a deep, cellular knowing that the universe is no longer teaching you through emotional starvation, it is now teaching you through emotional empowerment. You ask yourself, why did I ever accept the numbness when I was born with the capacity for such profound, world-altering passion? Why did I let the fear of conflict convince me to hold on to people who made me feel like my feelings were a burden? Do not dare to judge the past versions of yourself for the emotional suppression they endured. They did the absolute best they could with the unhealed wounds of rejection they carried. They were desperately trying to find safety in a world that had incorrectly taught them that showing negative emotion resulted in abandonment. I want you to deeply, profoundly, and entirely forgive yourself right now. I want you to let the sound of my voice be the final, absolute permission. You need to completely release the heavy burden of your suppressed emotional history. Let your physical voice vibrate in the actual air around you. Do not just think this, actually speak it out loud or scream it silently into the center of your mind with the force of a supernova. I completely and unconditionally forgive myself for swallowing my emotions. I forgive myself for fighting silent, frozen wars within my own body that were designed to shrink me. I forgive myself for pouring my sacred, passionate energy into people who refuse to honor my boundaries. I forgive myself for believing I had to be an emotionless ghost to be worthy of deep connection. I completely release the heavy chains of my past compliance. I completely sever all energetic cords to the people who needed me to stay passive so they could feel comfortable. I call all of my vital, brilliant, passionate, fiercely protective energy back to my own heart and sacral chakra. I am finally, deeply, and irrevocably open to the absolute abundance of safe, expansive, passionate, and unconditionally honest love. Breathe that massive, world-altering declaration deeply into your cells. Feel the actual, physical shift in the room. Feel the air become highly charged. Feel the chronic emotional density permanently leaving your chest. You have absolutely not lost a single ounce of your potential by letting go of the past. By walking away from the false safety of your emotional suppression, by stepping directly into the Moon-Mars Aries fire, you have just freed up a massive, staggering amount of energy that is now rushing entirely into the manifestation of your absolute highest timeline. You are no longer being difficult when you draw a hard line in the sand. You are being highly sovereign. You are not being too much when you express your passion or your displeasure. You are simply aligning your emotional standards with the undeniable reality of your immense inherent value. What you are experiencing as this transit peaks is a profound, incredibly necessary, and wildly explosive emotional liberation. You are crossing the burning bridge from the timeline of the passive sufferer directly into the timeline of the passionate, sovereign creator. You will be tested in the coming weeks. The ghosts of your old, passive habits will likely try to drift back in. An ex or a toxic dynamic might reach out with a confusing, boundary-pushing request, expecting the old you to just smile and accommodate them. Someone might present you with a situation where the easiest, most familiar path is to simply push down your frustration and go along with it, hoping you will pick up the old mask of compliance one last time. They will want to see if the emotionally numb version of you is still available. They will want to see if they can still cross your lines without facing your fire. When they do this, you are going to experience the ultimate, exhilarating victory of your brand new frequency. You will look at the drama, the boundary violation, the expectation for you to shrink, and you will feel absolutely nothing but a calm, elevated, completely untouchable, deeply grounded fire. You will see the disrespect for exactly what it is, and for the first time, you will not doubt your reaction. You will look at them, and you will simply, elegantly, and fiercely hold your ground. Because in the kingdom of Aries, your boundary is an absolute fortress. You will quietly, beautifully, and decisively close the door, both in the physical world and in the vast quantum field of your own heart. By refusing to step backward into the numbness, by absolutely refusing to re-enter the suffocating box you just broke out of, you are sending a massive, undeniable shockwave directly to the universe. You are declaring with unshakable, terrifying finality that your emotional reality is entirely non-negotiable. And the universe, powered by the incredible, protective vitality of Mars and the deep, intuitive knowing of the Moon, will respond by handing you the keys to the kingdom. It will bring you the love that does not require you to walk on eggshells. It will bring you the profound, beautiful peace of a life where your internal emotional reality perfectly matches your external boundaries, where your heart is a fortress of self-respect and your passion is a wand of magnificent manifestation. You are completely ready. You have spent lifetimes in emotional hibernation and in suffering, preparing for this exact shift in consciousness. The brutal, necessary lessons of your past have successfully forged an impenetrable, glowing shield of radical self-respect around your spirit. Take one final, incredibly deep, anchoring breath. Place both of your hands firmly and warmly over your heart center. Close your eyes. Feel the steady, ancient, entirely reliable pulse of your own passionate life force beneath your palms. Feel the potential of every emotion you have ever held back, not as a burden, not as a danger, but as a massive, beautiful reservoir of power. That vibration is your ultimate truth. That physical sensation is your magic. That passionate fire is your true, permanent, unshakable weapon of light. Everything you have experienced up until this moment, every tear, every betrayal, every agonizing hour spent analyzing why you couldn't just be easier to love, was merely the turbulent, necessary bridge to get you exactly here, to this very moment, to this very breath, to this profound realization of your staggering, breathtaking power to feel and protect your reality. This beautiful, glowing, untouchable core within you is entirely yours. It is completely impervious to anyone else's shadows, and it is now wide open to broadcast the absolute best, most passionate version of your soul to this universe. If these words have successfully bypassed the heavy, exhausted guards of your logical mind and spoken directly, intimately to the deep, ancient wisdom of your spirit, if you have felt the physical shift in your body, the sudden release of tension in your gut, the quiet, powerful rising of fire and courage in your chest as you listen to this transmission, do not let this wildly powerful energetic window close without firmly claiming it. Like this message. Do not do it just out of an unconscious, scrolling habit, but let the physical action of tapping the screen be a deliberate, grounded, silent signature on your new contract with the cosmos. It is you firmly, bravely declaring that you are finally ready to step out of the emotional numbness and receive the abundance that comes from absolute, passionate truth. Share your journey, your release, and your deep, brilliant realizations in the comments below. Declare your brand new standard. Use your actual words. Tell the universe exactly what you are no longer available to tolerate and exactly what kind of fierce, passionate love you are calling in. Let the physical manifestation of your typed words act as an unbreakable, heavy, energetic anchor for your brand new, incredibly brilliant timeline of emotional sovereignty. There is an immense, undeniably magnetic, and deeply world-shifting power in we are finally realizing that the seemingly solitary, intensely painful path of finding our emotional courage is not a lonely journey at all, but rather a massive, collective, earth-shaking roar of rapidly elevating conscious souls. Your highly specific story, your exact, unfiltered words of raw liberation, and your terrifyingly beautiful vulnerability might be the precise, exact, vibrational key that someone else desperately needs to encounter today. Your newly found courage might be the exact frequency required to help them finally drop their own heavy armor, release their deeply ingrained fear of their own anger, and speak their own hidden boundaries into existence. Subscribe to this exact frequency of absolute emotional liberation. Keep your spirit strictly and beautifully tethered to this highly elevated, unapologetic vibration as we continue to actively, bravely navigate these massive, paradigm-shifting cosmic waves together in the powerful months to come. Now, take one more intentional breath. Breathe in the crystal clear, utterly brilliant, and fiercely burning reality of this present, sacred moment. Let it physically fill your lungs. Fill your entire, magnificent human vessel with the vibrant, luxurious, golden energy of your completely unapologetic, passionately alive, brand new beginning. Exhale the thin, pathetic, desperately tired echoes of your past compliance. Blow those heavy, suffocating memories of self-betrayal away into the infinite cosmic ether, sending them permanently back to the absolute nothingness from which they originally came. You are profoundly, incredibly, and undeniably safe to be passionate. You are completely, beautifully, and fiercely sovereign. You are wonderfully, miraculously, and loudly whole just as you are, with all of your fire and all of your depth. The suffocating era of emotional suppression is permanently over. The toxic illusion of the compliant, numb partner is dead. The expansive, abundantly passionate, and fiercely protected reality of your authentic life is finally here. Welcome home, beautiful soul, to the magnificent, undeniable roar of your own unshakable greatness.